My name is Ron Hill, and I'm a solutions consultant for RightStar Systems. RightStar Systems is an elite partner for BMC software. We focus on helping our customers implement service management solutions utilizing the BMC toolset. Today, we're going to take a look at what's new in Service Desk Express version 10.2. Before we take a look at a live product demonstration, I just want to give a quick run through of some of the key features that were introduced in version 10.2. One of which is the Firefox support for staff members. Another new feature is SQL reporting services have been introduced to the SDE interface, allowing you to access reports in a SQL reporting services format, but in addition to that, many of the out-of-the-box SDE reports have also been converted. You will still have the ability to use Crystal reports if you wish. There's now the capability of defining roles within the application. Once you've defined your roles, you can then use client-side business rules to allow or deny access to data as well as capabilities within your forms. For organizations that are ITIL-centric and have been looking for a release management module, that has now been included in version 10.2 out of the box. Also, you have capabilities surrounding the category and service fields. Now have the ability to filter the content of those fields without having to apply database segregation to your system. Also, you have the ability to apply templates to existing records. This is great for organizations that have implemented self-service help desk and allow their customers to register incidents but wish to apply a template after the fact once it gets to the service desk. Also, there's been a number of settings that have been added through the application administration utility within SDE. We'll be taking a quick look at some of those as well. At this point, I'd like to jump right into the product demonstration and illustrate some of these new capabilities within SDE. Alright, now that we're logged into Service Desk Express, one of the first things that you might notice is I've actually logged in to SDE through the Firefox browser. So again, as I had mentioned earlier, Firefox is a supported browser platform now for your staff members. Now I should point out some of the limitations, and that is that you do not have full system or application administration capabilities through Firefox. Things like your database modifications, Crystal reports configuration, your normal system administration capabilities, that should all be done through Internet Explorer, form customization, things like that. That will be done through Internet Explorer. Firefox, however, is supported for your normal things like creating records, updating records, closing records, things of that nature. Now, the next thing you might notice is this nice graphic here on the dashboard. And this is actually a Microsoft SQL Reporting Services report that BMC provides with 10.2 release. So at this point, you do have the ability to see any number of reports in your dashboards, and I should specifically say any number of the SSRS reports in the dashboards. Now, to access the other reports, you'd simply go to this accordion menu here on the left-hand side that gives you access to your quick views and reports. And from here, there's two buttons that you can toggle to see your quick views or the out-of-the-box SSRS reports that BMC provides. This is basically those out-of-the-box reports that you saw with Crystal. They have been converted to SQL Server Reporting Services reports here. And I should make a point to note that in terms of the 10.2 upgrade, it will require that SQL Reporting Services be installed and configured in your environment before doing that 10.2 upgrade. And that's something that your database administrator or infrastructure team should be able to do for you in your environment. If during the upgrade itself will lay down the reports in the appropriate file structure, it will give you then the opportunity to configure through the Application Administration Integration tab the ability to define your SQL reporting services server information and things of that nature so that the integration between the two products is in place. So again, the actual SQL reporting services needs to be installed and configured by your DBA prior to doing the 10.2 upgrade. Now let's move into some of the other capabilities in the 10.2 release, that being release management. Release management is one of those idle disciplines that gives us the ability to capture, a number of changes and orchestrate those changes and how they should be deployed. So as we're looking here at this out-of-the-box release form, we can see general information about the release. We can see any release details. So if we're doing any type of auditing, we can have detailed records created, things of that nature. Now, what is missing with the out-of-the-box form is the relationship between the release and the change management module. So in order to see that, you will need to do make a database modification on the change module so that you can add a tab here on the release form, and on the change form be able to identify the release. So let's take a look at one of these forms that I have actually made the modification to. And again, this is, it sounds like a lot, but if for any of you that may have managed Service Desk Express for any length of time, it's fairly simple and straightforward to modify the database and modify the form. So here we're seeing that same release form, but at this point we have the change request tab, and we can see all the changes that are associated to this release. So you really want to think of this as a parent-child relationship. I've got one release, or one project if you will, where multiple changes need to occur. Each of these individual changes, they have their own approval processes, they have their own risk and impact analysis that needs to occur and things of that nature, and they can all be documented in each individual change record, but the parent record being the release, so they're all associated to a single release. In this case, we're installing Exchange 2010 in the new prod domain. Okay, so and from here we can actually access the change records, but let me also show you the change modification that you'll want to make to the change form so that you can draw this relationship. You will want to add a link to the or add a field so that you can link the release to that change record. So here we have, upgrading Exchange 2010 to Service Pack 2, and it's part of this release 1001. And again, like any of the other modules, you'd have the ability to add any number of fields as it relates to the release on the change form. I just chose to simply include the sequence number. So again, the release module, that is something that is out of the box with 10.2, but if you wish to have the relationship between changes and releases, you'll need to make some database modifications and a couple of form modifications for that to work correctly. All right, moving on to the next topic, and that being the topic of roles. As we're looking at this change record number 9, we can expand the tab section here, and if we go to the approval section, we can see we've got 3 approvers here already. Now at this point I can add new approval records. I can modify. So for example, maybe I don't want John Smith to approve this record. Instead, I want Mr. Winston to do this. So we're going to just update this approval record, and so now this individual. I can do this as a change approver. Now, there's also a setting that was introduced in 10.1, I believe it was, that allows you, if you're the person that's assigned this record, you are the only one that can update that. So I don't have that applied in this scenario, but just note that that type of capability exists. Where the roles come into play is that once you define a role and assign that to a staff member, that's going to allow them or deny them access to data or capabilities. I'm logged in as R-Hill, the R-Hill user, and I have a change approval role assigned to my account. So let's actually look at that as an administrator. So I'm going to jump over to the Internet Explorer browser, and I'm already logged in as the administrator user, and let's look at a couple of things. If we go here, let's first look at under System Administration. Let's look at the roles form that BMC provides us out of the box in 10.2, and so here you're able to define the role and document what things we want this role to do and what function that this role should serve and so forth. But we also are able to see the staff members that are associated with this role. And also from the inverse, if we go to the staff record, we would have the ability, if we added that. So I've got a staff form here that I've modified, and at that point we can see any and all roles that are associated to that staff member. Okay, so again, we define our role, we link that role to the staff member, and as you can see here, a staff member can have multiple roles that they are associated with. And once we've done that, then we simply create client-side business rules that allow us or deny us access to data or capability. And to illustrate that, let's go to that change record that we were working with earlier as the RHIL user. And at this point, let's open that up. So that was change record number 9. And if we go to our approval tab, we can see the 3 individuals. There's Alice Approver, Brett Winston, and Mr. East. Well, let's go, first of all, let's add a new approval record. So with this particular role, I'm going to allow someone to create an approval, but once that approval has been created, they won't be able to modify it. So let's select John Smith, and we'll save this. So at this point, we yet have a 4th approval record that has been added, and here's John Smith. But if we want to go in and make a change to this, or update this record, let's say apply a decision, something to that effect, let's say approve this for John Smith. Well, at this point, when I save the record, I have a pop-up that appears that tells me that I must have the change approval role in order to update the approval record. I need to contact my system administrator if this isn't the behavior that I should expect.